Hello everyone and welcome back to the Little Quilter. Today we are going to be starting work on the actual sparrows on the Sparrow Quilt by Pen and Paper Patterns, and super excited to have all of this background done and completed, as well as all of the border is done. And so now I get to do the really fun part, which is actually the feathering and everything that goes onto the birds. And this is all probably for the most part going to be mostly free motion quilted, rather than all of the background and border work was roller work. So the exciting part about the birds is that they are going to be all free motion quilted, whereas the background was all roller work, which is kind of a fun contrast to the quilt to have, and just a fun thing to do differently whenever I'm quilting it. And I'm really excited to be able to jump into this. Now, I am doing something a little bit different and a little bit daring. So you all know that I have loved the glide thread and have been a big lover of the Magna Glide bobbins, but this time around I'm going to be doing something different. So you can see in the thread here for the background, or not for the background, for the sparrows, I've decided to do this seagull gray color, and usually I would choose a matching bobbin to go with it. And I even did that on the legendary quilt, where I did green for most of the background, but for all of the brown component I actually switched the bobbin and did brown for it as well. So even on the back of the quilt there were different colors. This time around my plan had been to use that gray color, but because the background is so dark navy like this, I was just a little bit worried that it would stick out a little bit too much, and I thought I would give it a go and try using the navy bobbin, so the navy Magna Glide bobbin with the seagull thread. And so we're gonna have to watch and see how this goes. I've kind of set it up on the side. Let me show you. So here was my test strip that I did basically, and I ended up I was doing it just on, so a lot of times I will just test my bobbin on the backing and this. And I know that's not exactly right because you don't have your quilt top here, and so technically the thickness is different. But whenever I'm just changing bobbins, want to make sure it's set and going, I will do it just here on the side, and that's worked totally fine for me. But because I was setting this up and I wanted to make sure that my tension was correct for doing this navy bobbin with this light gray thread, and you can see here even at the beginning there's like a couple of pinpoints where that navy was popping through. And then as we progressed through, it definitely got better. So this last line here you can see is way better with that. So hoping that that's going to transcribe. So I'm really hoping that that is going to transcribe well, and I'm not going to have a lot of stippling effect. Definitely going to be the first time that I've done this. And you know what? It's good to step out and try something new for sure. So I'm sure lots of you guys out there are like, I do this every day when I quilt, but I just found so much trouble with the superior threads and not having those colors the same, that I really just was tired of fighting my thread, and I just wanted to enjoy quilting for the fact of quilting. And so that's why I have historically for the past multiple quilts stuck with a very similar bobbin thread and top thread. But we're branching out today because I think the quilt needs it, and we've got to do what the quilt needs. So let's go ahead and jump into this design and see how it goes. Alright, so that is the first bird done. I do feel like I lied a little bit in that obviously there was a little bit of roller work. I kind of forgot about a lot of the straight line quilting that I decided to do on some portions of the Sparrow quilt. But that whole feather was all hand done and hand guided, and I love how it turned out. So I was actually supposed to do on this feather another line across the top, but I actually just loved how that came out with just the one feather. And obviously there are a ton of more birds to put another feather with a double side on there, and I just felt like that was right. So very happy with how this feather turned out. I know it's not perfect, but it looks good enough for me. And I know that it kind of looks like there's some stippling there, but it's actually not. It's just where that fabric indents. So you can see over here, we're doing pretty good on that. Okay, so I don't know how fast I'm going to be able to get through all of these birds, but I'm going to keep going, and I'll just put a few of them on here for you guys so that you can enjoy the quilting. Let's go.
Bye.